Where do I look?
You look right there. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Back again for another Ingneious in 15 interview. I am here with Gina Locklear. She is a 5th grade teacher at W.H. Robinson. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself.
All right. I am Gina Locklear, and I teach 5th grade at W.H. Robinson, and I teach math and science. And we have a class set of Chromebooks that we got through the Impact Ventures grant a couple years ago. So we use Chromebooks every day.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right. So our topic today is blind Kahooting. It is an instructional strategy that uses the tool Kahoot. I'm going to not assume that everybody knows what Kahoot is. So can you tell us the 30-second spiel on what that is?
Sure. So Kahoot is a free game-based learning platform in which teachers can go in and create games and learning activities for their children based on topics that they're teaching. And each kid has their own device, and so they answer on their device, and then the results pop up on the smartboard, and it's very game-based, so the students really love it.
Lots of aggravating music along with it. And so the students actually score points based on right or wrong, but also how quick.
Right. So it's not only about accuracy and having it right, but it's about being quick with your responses. And data pops up immediately, so students know right away if they got it wrong. They know right away what place they fall in line with other students in the class. So there's some competition involved, which they love. And also, after the game is over, then later as a teacher, I can go back in and pull up spreadsheets of data and see which questions were most commonly missed, which questions were we most proficient on, and be able to analyze the data and see what do we need to go back and work on.
Cool. All right. So our topic today is blind Kahoot. And so this is an instructional strategy that Gina and I piloted in her class last year with her students. They loved it. I've actually used it some in training this year, so I wanted to share that. So can you tell us what really is blind Kahoot?
So blind Kahoot is set up and played exactly like regular Kahoot, except for the students have no idea what the topic is. So it's blind to them. So you would use a blind Kahoot when you have not taught students a topic yet. And then there's a script and a template for how you ask questions in a specific series, but it's a good way to introduce a topic and get a feel for what kids already know about something before you actually teach it.
Cool. And so when we did pilot this last year, we got really good and I felt mature feedback from your students. What were some things that they said about blind Kahoot versus maybe a pretest?
Right. So the biggest thing about it was that the kids liked that it was not paper pencil. I give pretest in math all the time, and they can get burnt out with that. So with Kahoot, it can be used in any subject. But because it's game-based and it's fast and it's fun, they don't really realize that they're being assessed at all. And a lot of our kids last year said they liked that it was not paper pencil. They liked that it was fun. They liked that we incorporated lots of pictures and videos. And we got really good feedback from them. So I know they learned, and it also gave me information about what I needed to still teach.
Yeah, one thing that I remember one of your little girls had said was that she didn't have to wait until the end of the unit when they took the other test to know what I knew and what I didn't know coming into it. And I thought that was, pretty telling as well.
Right. They get immediate feedback. And so I'm not having to wait 3 days for my teacher to show me my test score. I know right away how I did.
Right. And if I have a misconception, I can fix it right there.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So how do you create one? You mentioned a template.
So yeah, for Kahoot and blind Kahoot, it's the same. You set up a free account on Kahoot.com and you click up at the top. There's a purple box that says New K, and you click on that and you give it a title, and you just go in and type in your questions and answers. You can add pictures and you can add videos, but it's super simple and it takes no time at all.
Okay. For a regular Kahoot, but with a blind Kahoot.
Okay, yeah. So for a blind Kahoot, there is a template, and there is a specific series that you should set up your questions as. So you start with like a question that sort of hooks and grabs the children's attention. sort of introduce the topic that you're getting ready to teach. And then you have what's called a blind question. So that's sort of like your essential question for those of us that do learn focus. So that's sort of, you're asking this question and you're gauging, do my kids already know this? And at the very first time you ask that blind question in the Kahoot, most of your kids are probably going to get it wrong, which is fine. And the kids get upset by that because they're like, man, but then they realize, oh, I don't know what this topic is yet.
Right.
And so then you scaffold the rest of your questions based on that. And you do it in series and chunks. So it depends on what your goal is and what you want to accomplish by the end of the blind Kahoot. But it's very scaffolded for them. So as you're going through it, you're introducing more information and you're teaching more stuff. But the questions are in a specific order.
Right. And because it is game-based and the kids are scoring points in a blind Kahoot, what do you do for those questions that are blind questions that you're not expecting the kids to get correct?
Right. So you can either turn on the points or turn off the points for certain questions. And then there are some questions that might have more than one right answer, but you tell Kahoot what the right answers are so they know that Kahoot knows how to score it.
Okay. All right. So I know y'all are dying to see this template and how this looks. So we're going to share the screen. And so I'm going to let Gina take over here. This is the one that we did kind of as a pilot. We did it on Blackbeard.
Yeah, so we did this at the end of last year. So we picked a topic that we thought the kids would find fun and interesting, but that we assumed they did not know very much about, which they did not. So when you want to start a new Kahoot, you click up here where it says New K. And it will give you a place to type in your questions and your answers. So we started with the question, who was Blackbeard the pirate, which was our hook to sort of grab the students' attention. And then you can see where these are the answers that we came up with, and all of them were correct answers. So no matter what the kids picked, they would feel some success right off the start because all of those were true statements. And then you can also see where we added pictures. The next question was, what is special about Bath, North Carolina? And we knew that many of the kids probably wouldn't have a clue where Bath was or what happened in Bath. So that was our first blind question. Let me show these answers again. So we put in 3 wrong answers and 1 right answer. And then as it goes along, it introduces the city of Bath more. The kids here could pick, yes, I got it, or no, can you tell me more? And then we would know, or we knew when we did this, should we stop and tell them some more about Bath, or can we keep going?
So this was question number 3 was actually a video.
Yes, they had to watch a video and then answer, yes, I got it, or no, can you tell me more?
So doing a little bit of formative assessment along the way, knowing, do I need to have more discussion about this, maybe pull up some more resources rather than just this video, or are the kids ready to keep moving?
Right. And so then we moved on and talked about how Blackbeard and Bath are connected. Information that the kids should have picked up in the video clip. Kept going, how did Blackbeard and Governor Eden interact, which was also part of our video. And then eventually we get back to the blind question, because along the way we're teaching and introducing new information. So when we get down to the end and we ask the blind question again, then we would expect to see much higher accuracy.
Yeah, and I just want to point out too that you can be very strategic with the amount of time that you allow for questions. I usually allow a lot of time for the blind questions, just to give the students extra time, not only to read, but to process and to hopefully make an educated guess. And we may even, before moving on to the next question or the next instructional piece, talk about what may have been some clues in there. So working on that higher order thinking and that kind of stuff.
Right. And sometimes too, the music that goes along with Kahoot, if you're new to Kahoot, can be very distracting. So there are times where, like, if I really need them to concentrate, like in this type of scenario, I will just turn the music down. Yeah.
And so like here, this one right here is another video. And so just an FYI for Kahoot, your timer doesn't start until the video has finished playing. So that's just an FYI for you as well. So I'm going to go. Is there anything else you wanted to share in this?
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to come back, hopefully. Here we are. All right. So we're going to come back. Any other things that you want to point out about Blind Kahoot?
I think it's important that you make sure you pick a topic that's really brand new to the kids. So if you've introduced it at all, it would not be a good Blind Kahoot topic. It truly needs to be blind, something that they know nothing about. And there are, which I think Lauren's going to share some links to some resources for how to create a Blind Kahoot. And if you make sure you follow that template and scaffold those questions in the right way, that will make it a lot easier too.
Yeah, something that I've done, which we did in that pirate one, was the very first blind question, all the answers were correct.
Right.
So when I've shared this with teachers, I've had some teachers ask me, for blind questions, does every answer choice need to be correct? And the answer to that is no. It's based on what your purpose is. So if my purpose is to give as much information as I can, then I probably do want to have all, or at least more than one correct answer. Versus if I need to know if this is a real true formative assessment and I need to know who knows what, then I might have one correct answer.
Right.
And another important piece, that was just focused on pirates, but for a typical Blind Kahoot where we're doing like serious content, you may have 3 or 4 blind questions in one Kahoot game. And so you have different instructional pieces. And all of that is explained in the template and in some resources that I'm going to share on our Facebook page.
Right. I ran across a Blind Kahoot for high school biology on cells, and it was very complicated even for me as an adult. But the teacher, it was very obvious where she was trying to teach several things about cells. And so she had a couple of different blind questions within the one Kahoot and then the teaching underneath it. So it can be very simple, or you can make it more complicated, sort of depending on your grade level and your subject area.
Yeah. And so a Blind Kahoot always ends with you going back to that very first blind question.
Yes, right.
My suggestion would be to reword it, not ask it the exact same way and not have the exact same answer choices.
Right, that's true.
To see, did they really internalize and process and learn what you wanted them to learn through that. And like Gina said, at the end, you get a report.
Right.
That you can go back.
You can click on data and it'll pull it up in a nice spreadsheet for you, and it'll analyze how your children did on every single question that you asked. It'll give you a class average. And that's really important to go back and look at, especially if you're not doing a Blind Kahoot, but a regular Kahoot, so that you can see, well, what question types or what question stems did we miss most often, and what do I need to go back and reteach?
Perfect. All right, we're almost out of time. What are your thoughts as a teacher on using Blind Kahoot? We know the students like it better than a paper pencil pretest. What are your thoughts?
I really like both Kahoot and Blind Kahoot. I will say that I have 100% engagement and time on task when Kahoot's being played, whether it's Blind Kahoot or regular Kahoot. And if we go 2 weeks or so without a Kahoot, my children are like, Miss Locklear, it's time for another Kahoot. So I like that it's very engaging. It gives me a lot of good information, a lot of good data. It's easy to leave for a substitute to do. So, it's not a lot of chaos. It's not a lot of extra work. And it's something that the substitute can do very easily. And the kids know how to do it so well now that they can help the substitute as well. So as a teacher, it truly is a useful, helpful instructional tool that does not take a whole lot of time.
Awesome. And going to put in a shameless plug here. Gina is going to be presenting on Blind Kahoot at our Tech Fest, which is going to be August 6th and 7th this year. So if this sounds like something you want more information on, or you like, maybe a little bit more hands-on guidance your first time creating one, definitely check out Gina's session at Tech Fest. And if you have not already, please go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/PCS Digital Learning. All the links for our Ingneious and 15 interviews are there. Plus, I sporadically post cool tech tools and things like that for parents and teachers. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Gina.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Lauren.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.